Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Gift Genius TV. I'm your host, Mr. Phyl. Today, I'm just going to be talking about my journey in a bid to help people to have an idea of a little bit about my background, a little bit about where I've come from, the motive of doing this channel, and the motive of sharing the information that I do share. So I'm just gonna go straight into it. Obviously, born in the 70s, grew up, was taken to Nigeria as a baby. Was born in the UK, taken to Nigeria as a baby. Grew up in Nigeria. Did all my formative years in Nigeria. So I did my nursery school, my primary school, secondary school in Nigeria, and I only came to the UK after I finished my secondary school to come and do my higher education over here in the UK, and that was in the early 90s. Now, I said that all to say this, just to paint you a picture of the kind of life that I lived in Nigeria. My parents were, I would say, working class, middle class professionals. My mom was a nurse. My dad was an actually an economist, and we had a relatively good lifestyle, and we had the accommodation, the car. Living in Nigeria in the 70s was quite good because Nigeria was really quite good then. The supermarkets were there, the structure was there. Things were not bad at all. I can remember in my primary school days, life in Nigeria was still good. You know, everything was still working as it should. Everything still made sense. I can remember going to visit my mom in the hospital because she was a surgical nurse. And as a little boy, the son of a staff in the hospital, when I'll be running around the corridors of the hospital to calm me down. They'll make some tea for me. They'll give me some, I can remember some digestive biscuits. To today, I can't stand those biscuits because of that memory. Because I didn't like that biscuit. I preferred other biscuits, but there always seems to have digestive biscuits, But I can remember then the lifts were working. I would run from this. As a child, I didn't know any different. I was running the corridors of the office from theater to theater, and they would say, "Whose son is that?" "Ah, it's Mrs. Akitude's son," and that was in Luth then, and which was a teaching hospital in Nigeria then, and maybe because my mom didn't have a babysitter, so she would just take me there for a few hours before my dad comes to collect me or whatever. So life was like that, and I could remember going to the point where I was now going to secondary school in Nigeria, and obviously now I was now maybe 11, 12, then going from secondary school in the south to going to the federal government college in Maiduguri, in the north. And the adventures that I experienced in Nigeria then, I'm gonna keep this short because I could go on and on about my experiences in Nigeria, but I just to give you a taster now. Maybe there will be times in the future that I will go into great detail because there are great details to be shared about my experiences in Nigeria growing up. But going back to going back to the narration of what I went through when I was growing up. I remembered finally succeeding in gaining entrance into the Federal Government College of Maiduguri, and I flew there by plane the first time, and my dad flew there, went to make sure that everything was okay as per my admission, and I think very quickly from then on, then I started using train to go to Maiduguri. And that, my goodness, was an adventure of its own. Oh my goodness, I can write books on that adventure. I was probably maybe 13, 14 years old then, and we'll catch the train from Ido Station, Ido Terminal in Lagos, and all the way through the south of Nigeria. We're talking about, Ilorin, Jeba, then we get to Bauchi. I'm talking about this will probably take about a day or a day and a half to probably get to Bauchi. Then from Bauchi to Jos, and to see the terrain of. We even used to go across, and we used to see the Kainji Dam, and we used to, oh my goodness, what an amazing period that was. It was a bit dangerous because as a 12, 14-year old boy going across the nation of Nigeria, usually the train will break down, and sometimes break down in a place that even has no name. And we're talking about the days where there was no mobile phone. Absolutely no mobile phone. Some of you cannot even imagine that. But we survived. We survived. It's like while I was in the train and the train broke down in a place where there was nothing. I'm talking about all you just see was grass, not even a building, for miles and miles and miles as the eyes can see. And somehow the train will get fixed and we'll go on our way. And amazingly, back then, a train journey that probably should take maybe 3 or 4 days sometimes ran into 2-3 weeks. And I used to love it. I used to, as a kid then, I didn't know any better. I used to love it because the longer it took us to get to school, the longer it took for me to start schoolwork, isn't it? So we used to be on the trains. We would make new friends. Imagine being in a train for 3 weeks. Your space becomes your space. Thankfully you could. They had toilets. We had our own coaches. If you go on time, they will reserve student coaches, so only students will be in these coaches, and obviously everything goes on. We entertain ourselves in the trains with music and dance, and then you make new friends, new friends from other schools in the region, girls only schools, boys only schools. I was in a mixed school, but we used to go in coaches. So this school, maybe Poti school, will have their own coach. Maybe Bauchi girls will have their own coach. Maiduguri will have its own coach. Jos will have his own coach, and that's how we used to go then. And it used to be such an adventure because you'll have your own little flings on the train. You'll meet a girl will meet a boy will meet a girl. I will have my girlfriend for the journey, and all that kind of crap was going on then. And it was fun for me because sometimes we'll break down. Maybe for instance, we could break down and spend maybe 5 days in Jos. So while they're repairing the train, you go into town. You don't even know when they're going to repair the train. So it was, it was touch and go. Luckily, I've never been stranded by missing the train. Luckily, I was very, very, what shall I call it? Sensible not to be too far from the train, So I'll go into town, probably go into their restaurants, probably just make sure that I'm not too far from the station, Those days, the technology wasn't there for you to even know what was happening as per the train times or when the train is going to be fixed or anything. You just played everything by ear. And like I told you, these were the days where there was not even any mobile phones. So it's not like, we could find out when things are repaired by one friend calling another. No, you just can't. It was so amazing that even the track, you don't even know what platform. You don't even know what platform your train that is meant to go to XY. So many times and this time you are actually carrying your boxes like your suitcases, your luggages. So many times I've been sort of kind of like in a train that I thought was going somewhere. I will finally pack my luggage into this train and put it on the rack, and I will be so settled. Then someone will say, where is this train going? And I'll say, oh, maybe it's going to Meduguri. They'll say, no, it's not going to Meduguri. I'll be like, no. Then someone else will say, no, it's not going to Maiduguri. They'll say, oh, where is it going then? Oh, it's going to Kaduna. It's going to Kaduna. Then from that consensus is actually how you will know where a train is going. Then you go and ask someone, is the train really going this way or is it going that way? And everybody will say, oh, no, it's going that way or this way. And everybody will you'll be like, no one actually really even knows. So you're not in a position where you're lugging your luggages and you're carrying your luggages. Oh my goodness, I'm in the wrong train. And so even sometimes you take your luggage from the right train to the wrong train because someone told you it's the wrong. That's how we lived. That's how we lived in Nigeria then, and it was such an adventure for me. You can imagine, Somehow, I never missed a train. somehow, the amount of times when the train will finally start moving and you're like, oh God, please let it be the right train. You know what I'm saying? And then you can only find out it's the right train when you get to the next station, which could be like 6 or 7 hours away. So imagine if you got the train wrong. And, I'm telling you, some of you that are young cannot even imagine that kind of life, but we enjoyed it. That was life for us, And I could tell you so many stories about, so that's how, let me put it there for now for my experiences of traveling in Nigeria. But what I would say is that Nigeria was such a rich place, rich in culture, rich in land, rich in everything. You could literally tell, that you're leaving the South because the fruits will change, the snacks will change, the weather will change. The atmosphere will change, and the terrain will change. So you go from the lush green to the dry savannas to the arid regions of Nigeria. So I had all that experiences growing up. I'm so thankful I had that because it really colored my life. If I didn't go to FGC Meduguri, it's not even the education that I got from FGC Meduguri. It was more the adventure. But anyway, we survived that. And so maybe one of these days I'll continue with that story. But I'm saying all that to say this, that was Nigeria in the 80s and early 90s when I now came to the UK. And when I came to the UK, it was in search of a better life. And obviously, the UK was where the life was meant to be. In a way, obviously, I conceptually knew that the land was not paved with gold, but still, it was the land of opportunity, So came to London, came to stay with my dad, came with my Nigerian results, which was relatively just okay. I passed all my subjects. I didn't fail any, but it wasn't like I was a triple star doing triple somersaults. No, I was big. I had one A and plenty of passes, plenty of C's, and that was me done. Just scraped through. Anyway, came to London and I really didn't want to really go into higher education because honestly, there was nothing that really grabbed me. But so that people will not say, why are you not doing anything? And people will leave me alone. I said I was going to go and study art and design, So I got into the college here in the UK. From then, I already knew that I wanted to work for myself in a business. I never really didn't. Even from then, when I saw people in jobs, I wasn't really excited about going to do what they were doing, waking up every day after day after day, going into a job just to come back home to sleep, to go back again. From then on, I was actually subconsciously thinking, man, there's got to be a better way. I want a business of my own. And I'm talking about being now, I was 19 years old, probably early 20s. I was thinking like that. And I will continue this story in the next part. I'm going to round up now, but this is just about giving you a bit of background of Mr. Phyl and why Give Genius TV came about, etc., etc. So I will speak to you on the next part.